Hello, friends, and welcome to another video. This week, I'm gonna be getting a custom black wedding dress. Y'all can stop tweeting me now. It's happening. Now, as some of you might know, I am engaged, betrothed, affianced, and a few months ago, we went shopping for my wedding dress. And we ended up picking out a really amazing gown with some pretty epic medieval sleeves. Look at that sleeve tie! With a couple of details still left up in the air, like the fabric and the final fit, but we said sure to the frock. I really love it. I really like it. And that dress is still gonna be my wedding dress, but for a while, I've been teasing the idea of doing a white swan, black swan moment and having a second dress that I can change into for the party portion of the evening. So that is what we're gonna be working on now. The Odylyne dress, if you will, or the Mila Kunis one, unless you think she's just a figment of Natalie Portman's imagination. That movie came out in 2010. I don't know why I'm still talking about it. Now, the first question some of you may be asking is, why do you want a black wedding dress at all? Well, I wear a lot of black. It started off as like a theater kid stagehand thing. Yes, I was a theater kid. No one is surprised. And that predilection has now taken over my life and closet entirely. So a black wedding dress is definitely in my wheelhouse. In fact, some of you were surprised when I chose a white dress at all. Now, my line of thinking this whole time has been like, if there's one occasion in my life to wear a white gown, this is it. And I really love the Juliet dress that we chose, as well as the fabric we ended up picking out for it. However, unintentionally, the fabric we settled on is gonna end up being pretty heavy and a bit fragile. And for some insider info, Tyler and I are planning a somewhat intricate choreographed first dance, so I pretty much definitely need some kind of second dress to boogie in. So I thought, why not a black one? The second question you guys may have is, why custom? Now, there are a lot of black gowns like out there in the world, but when it comes to choosing a second wedding dress, I kind of want something that would both complement the first dress stylistically, but also not upstage it or downstage it too much. So kind of a tall order. But thankfully, through our shopping process for our first dress, we were able to meet the designer of it, Stephanie White of Odylyne the Ceremony. And when she heard I was looking for a black wedding dress to complement our Juliet gown, she was intrigued, and she thought it could be really fun to work on something custom together. So I said yes to working on a custom dress, and thus began our journey. So to start off, we hopped on an initial FaceTime call with Stephanie to kind of game plan. All right, hi Stephanie.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Doing okay. We pulled an all-nighter last night, so we're like a little crazed right now.
It's okay.
So leading up to this call, I had started pinning stuff to a shared Pinterest board, as well as sharing Stephanie on our general wedding one, just so she could get a feel for the vibe we were going for. Now, our general wedding theme has kind of evolved a little bit. Initially, I was describing it as a Midsummer Night's Dream in autumn, with kind of like Christmas lights and exposed brick, but it's sort of grown into more of a starry night concept, as we've added a lot of decor with Moravian stars, moons, and twinkly accents. I've like pinned a bunch of like celestial patterned fabrics. I don't know if there's like that possibility out there. So most of the dresses I was gravitating towards were more on the whimsical side, with like beading or sheer layers, you know, just things that had some etherealness to them.
Yeah, I think it should definitely fit with the wedding gown, so it's not like, whoa, where did this come from? It's like, you know, from another planet or something. But I think like we'll keep it in the same vein. I know that you like the long sleeves, and I know that you like the flare, but we can maybe like minimize it a little bit.
There's also a fair amount of these sleeves that are like almost like the opposite of a bell, where they're almost like they're poofy and then they cinch at the wrist.
Oh yeah.
So those are super cool also. So I'm open to like any kind of interesting sleeve, really.
Yeah,
I love sleeves.
There's like sleeves are just the thing right now.
So with some of my ideas out of my head and onto Pinterest, the next question was how we were gonna turn those pins into a dress. What is our plan of attack?
The plan is I'm gonna go to the Pinterest board and to sort of see what makes sense. And then I think that we can start to sketch.
So our next meeting would be in person to see some of these sketched out silhouette options that Stephanie had cooked up from our conversation, and then choose one of them. That sounds perfect. So I will see you next week.
Yes, excited.
All right, see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Now, joining us for our sketch reviewing session was Christy Baird, who some of you may remember as the owner of LOHO Bride, who helped us pick out our first dress and was also the one who linked us up with Stephanie in the first place. And we were all gonna be taking a gander at 3 different silhouette options.
So here is look 1, which we talked about sleeves, because we know you're a sleeve girl.
Yeah, I am. I'm a sleeve lady. Look 1 is a generally fitted silhouette that hugs the abdomen and then starts to flare out below the hip, with sheer poofy sleeves and a plunging deep V at the cleave point.
Not too plunging, something like classy.
Yeah. Something to show off a little chest hair.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Look 2 is somewhat similar to look 1 in that the sleeves are also sheer and voluminous and cinched at the bottom. I feel like both of them have this like cool like gatheredness, which I really like as almost like a foil to like the open like bell sleeve of the first look. But instead of being fitted, look 2 has some shearing at the waist to provide more of an A-line skirt. It also has a deep V, but it's covered by a high-necked sheer overlay, sort of similar to these looks that Stephanie's designed. Look 3 is very different from the other 2. Wow.
This one is giving you that whole princess fairy tale vibe.
But vampy. But make it vampy.
This design is off the shoulder with a notched neckline and an A-line skirt.
And there's that sleeve detail, which is exactly the same length as the skirt, and it opens up where your hands can peek out.
Playing off of these dresses that I had pinned, and also this one that I tried on way back when at LOHO and liked, but didn't end up picking. It would definitely give some drama. Like they would definitely fly around a little bit for sure. And honestly, after seeing them, I thought that all 3 of these sketches were really awesome and did hit a lot of the things that I had initially been Pinterested in. But I had to make a choice. And right off the bat, I had a couple of concerns with option number 3. Specifically, that it would not really solve our problem of needing a more practical dress for dancing purposes, with both the off the shoulder being restrictive to my upper arm mobility.
A lot of my girls that do off the shoulder do it for ceremony because they want the photos, and then they switch out of the off the shoulder for the reception.
Not a lot of people going the other way.
Not as many people.
As well as the cape sleeve situation that I so loved, potentially getting in the way.
Like you might be like twirling through your own sleeve.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That might happen regardless, but like I feel like let's not make it harder for me. So we decided to nix dress number 3, which left us with options 1 and 2. Now the differences between these sketches mainly come down to the neckline, of which dress 2's is quite high. I'm nervous about like this kind of thing.
Getting covered.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, not like covered, but I'm worried about like, I don't know, something.
Well, in dancing too.
Yeah.
On the flip side, are you gonna be warm with something up this high?
And besides any potential double chinning, the sheer overlay would also obscure the deep V, which I actually thought could be a good idea to highlight because it would mirror the neckline of my other dress. So we'd have that kind of continuity going. I don't mind the deep V. I'll just get my chest waxed. Now, between the 2 skirt silhouettes, I usually favor more flowy ones, but I was actually surprisingly drawn to the more snug style.
I think having a nice like booty moment, especially if you're dancing,
I know,
could
I
be
like
really
that.
good.
I'm down for that. I could be open to a booty moment.
The whole audience could be. Yeah.
Absolutely. You see the booty hump and then you see the little squiggle of the chest hair.
I love it.
So between these 2, which one feels like the front runner?
So all things considered, I would say that style number 1 has that practicality for dancing with some dramatic flair without things flying around, so it seemed like the perfect choice. Weirdly, I can't say I like knew that this dress existed, but I feel like this was kind of in my head. So we decided to go with that one. Amazing!
Whoa.
Okay, this is good. I'm excited. And the next step after choosing our silhouette was to have Stephanie's pattern maker whip up a muslin version of our dress for me to actually try on. All right, so we are here back again at LOHO Bride, and today we're gonna be meeting up with Stephanie and and her pattern maker Rita to take a little sneak peek at the muslin of the black reception dress. Now, a muslin is essentially like a prototype version of a dress that you can use to finalize the pattern before you make it in the final fabric. I can't wait to get into it. So I popped into the dressing room to see how it was looking.
Wow, very dramatic.
So pretty.
I think it's great. I'll take it home right now.
Good.
Yeah, I think
love
it was awesome.
It really, really
Ty, I'm literally going exactly where you are.
Okay, let's switch spots.
For just a rough draft, I honestly thought the dress looked pretty spooktacular. The color is perfect, obviously.
The shade.
The shade, yes, it's not a color. I've been told. And I think a lot of the details that we had focused on in the sketch were looking good IRL. I like this shape, and I love the sheer sleeves and the V.
Yes.
I like a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that because I like a lot of things too.
Stephanie and Rita had some standard fit alterations they wanted to make.
You feeling rock and roll?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like a little. So they pinged me up in a variety of locations.
This is your apex point?
This is my apex.
That's your apex.
The peak of the mountain, sorry.
That's correct.
For my part, I only felt like we needed to make small tinkers to the silhouette, like making the waistband more narrow and maybe exaggerating the sleeves slightly. I feel like if we could try and get like a little more height in the shoulder and like a little more shearing like near the wristband, that would be perfect. Especially on the top, like a little more
right.
poofy something.
Dramatic.
More drama.
Overflow.
Everyone said more drama. I like
More
that.
drama.
So I told them to really go for it in terms of sleeve poofiness.
Yeah, and if anything, when we fit it again and we need to reduce, it'll be easier. At least you can see it.
Yeah,
Should
totally.
go big and then reduce.
Yeah, go big and then go home. The other thing that we needed to adjust was the length of the skirt. I wanted to make sure that we couldn't see too much of my shoes from underneath the dress. So I'm wearing like straight up like jazz shoes, like for like dancing purposes. But at the moment, there was a beautiful full-on train behind me. And unfortunately, I think it had to go for the sake of our tango.
I mean, you want to go like floor length all the way around?
Yeah, I don't think we can have any train. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna trip on it.
Okay.
Yeah, or he's gonna trip on it.
So
Someone's gonna trip on it. But besides those tweaks, we were fired up for our frock. Awesome.
Yay.
You guys feel good?
I feel good.
I feel really good about
I think
it.
you look like you feel good.
I like it. Yeah, I really.
Your face is like lighting up.
I don't just like it. I love it. So
Oh, good!
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that.
And with our final silhouette within reach, it was time to pick our fabric. Spirit fingers, I guess. I don't know. Now, originally, Stephanie had thought that something like a black velvet could be good for our gown, and she had actually found a couple of swatches of different velvets that she showed us on our sketch reviewing day. I keep petting this one. I feel like this feels
You're
like—
gonna get petted.
I know. I'll just be petting myself. I'll just spend my wedding touching myself.
I think with
However, we had already chosen a velvet tuxedo jacket for Tyler's wedding outfit, and I was kind of nervous about clashing. So we took her swatches to Tyler's tux place to compare, and none of them really matched. Maybe we shouldn't do velvet.
For you?
Yeah, I feel like unless it matches perfectly, it's not gonna make sense.
Yeah. You're also gonna be moving a lot in that second dress, so
Yeah.
sweat everywhere.
Well, you're gonna sweat everywhere.
I'm already sweating right now. Can you see it on my head?
No, I can't.
Endless.
And with velvet more or less nixed, Stephanie suggested that we all go fabric shopping together, so we could see a lot of different black fabric options in one go, and then make our choice. So we met up one afternoon with 2 fabric stores on our itinerary, Rag Finders and Mood. All right, so we are here at Rag Finders in downtown LA, ready to search for some fabric for our dress. Basically, Rag Finders is like a dead stock fabric emporium, which means that all of these fabrics are like no longer in production. They've ended up here and they will not be making any more of them. I swear I have a dress from Urban Outfitters from this fabric. This could be that fabric. So if you find something that you like, grab it and run. Well, pay first, but grab it, pay, and then run. So I'm gonna be meeting Stephanie here, as well as Sarah, who works at Rag Finders, who's gonna be helping us explore, adventure, quest. They've disappeared.
Make a right.
Navigate. Navigate is a good word.
Do we lose them?
She's gonna be helping us navigate this place.
I can hear them on the mics. They said, "Did we lose them?"
A little bit.
A little bit.
Because it's large and labyrinthy. It could be pans, I don't know. You could see me holding my eyeballs in my hands, I don't know. In all seriousness though, Rag Finders is super cool and there are a lot of hidden gems there. Look at this blue camo print. I could make you a pair of joggers out of that. You'll look like one of the Cheetah Girls. And we decided to start our expedition in the lace room upstairs. Through a crevice. In terms of laces, we were looking for something with a semi-gothic vibe without looking too tableclothy or too floral.
You gotta do this with all the fabrics so I can kind of see them.
You can just cocoon me inside of them. So cobwebs were in.
I like it because it's kind of spider webby and it's pretty geometric, which I also like a lot.
It's kind of wicked.
I like that.
But fruits were out.
I don't love the pineapple type situation.
Yeah. You're right, and it does look like a pineapple.
Pineapples just make me think of Fibonacci numbers, which makes me think of 6th grade math.
And Stephanie also wanted a fabric with some heft to it.
No?
I don't like, no, I don't think so. It's not thick enough for me. It's not giving me the beefy vibe.
we need a beefy fabric here.
We need a beefy vibe.
Where's the beef?
And after pulling a fair amount of fabric rolls out of the depths,
I don't know how to get in there.
There we go.
I'm super useless right now.
It's almost like delivering a baby.
and then having to put them back where we found them.
I'm like jousting. Put them up, Ty. I'm jousting with you.
Yeah.
We gathered a few possible lace options and then decided to head over to another part of the store.
All right, squeeze, suck it in, squeeze it.
Suck it in. A metaphor for putting on Spanx.
But on our way over there, Sarah did spot one last lace.
One last scallop at your knees.
Oh!
Now our first dress fabric is a beaded scallop pattern with ever so slight Art Deco vibes, so I had kind of been keeping half an eye out for scallop patterns in the lace room.
Wait, this one's actually awesome. This one's kind of really awesome.
This is really awesome.
So Sarah had done good.
Good find. You know how to look in the dark for these things.
Sarah is the bane of fabric stores.
Oh yeah.
I was born in the fabric store.
Unfortunately though, once we pulled it out,
Well,
we realized it was too narrow of a bolt to actually cover my body, so it was a no-go.
But maybe we can like take a little for inspo or something?
yeah.
Still on the hunt, we headed downstairs, past more mountains of fabric,
I feel like you have a shirt made out of this. I just felt that I was like, Tyler?
to the jacquard area to try and see if we could find anything sparkly or patterned with kind of a celestial vibe.
Oh, Ty, look, it's hollow.
We did end up finding one shimmery metallic fabric that could have been an option, but none of us were really feeling it.
I think it's not right.
Okay, there we go.
I don't think so.
That's why we do it.
And without finding a clear front runner,
We could also go with the fire truck dress here, you know, because that it could be interesting.
I mean, it would be red hot. Sorry.
And
Literally,
Sarah
Stephanie
pulled.
exited.
We're just like,
we decided to say Auf Wiedersehen to Rag Finders and head over to our second destination, Mood, of Project Runway fame.
I'm trying to remember all the things that Tim Gunn says. I don't know, I think he just says, let's go to Mood.
yeah, right?
All right, time to go to Mood. Thank you, Mood.
Yes.
Now beyond that, Mood is more of a standard fabric store with just a wide range of options.
This one's kind of funny, not for the dress, but just in life.
And so we inevitably found a lot of things that were not gonna work.
Like shagalicious.
Shagalicious.
Yeah,
Shagalicious.
shagalicious.
With interesting patterns,
Is it like vaguely animal print-esque?
The subtlest of cheetah prints.
as well as textures.
Oh, there's feathers over here. Oh, there's a lot of feathers over here.
But something that Mood did have a fair amount of was good sparkly options.
Oh, wow. That's really nice, actually.
Now, I was down for some sparkle, but we did have to be careful with beading because we didn't want anything that could snag in a dancing situation. Especially during this move, the buns are rolling, where Tyler spins me around on the ground.
I think when you do your butts are rolling, that thing's gonna be butted everywhere.
And though we did end up finding a couple of good options,
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't foresee these falling off.
Stephanie had secretly found a treasure in the corner that she was eager to show me.
Get ready, get ready, get ready. I don't know if this is right, but like, I got a little excited just because
Oh, yeah?
Which was a sheer black fabric with embroidered stars.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome, right?
That is pretty sick, guys.
And though I had kind of given up hope of finding a celestial patterned fabric like this, it was one of the things that was all over my initial Pinterest board.
And they're not like stars where they're like Oh, they're stars. They're little abstract-y stars, you know?
Yeah. It was very different from all of the other options that we had considered.
This is really good.
But it was light, seemed easy to dance in, and would match so many other elements of our wedding that it really felt like a winner.
I mean, kind of like out of all the stuff that we've chosen, this is definitely you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this could be the one, honestly. I think that's also like the first time I've like felt that way.
Good!
And having checked out so many different fabrics, from velvets to pineapples to fire trucks, it felt kind of surreal to finally find something we liked so much.
All right, this is pretty awesome.
Listen to the stars. Is that a saying?
Is that a thing?
No.
I don't think that's a thing. So we decided to go with this one. I guess that was a resounding thank you mood.
Thank you mood.
And with our material and our silhouette chosen, it was time to put the whole thing together and do a fitting in our final fabric.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you all. Shall I come out dramatically?
Black wedding dress, let's do it.
Ooh.
Well, that was dramatic. This rocks.
Oh my gosh.
And right away, we were pretty pumped with how it was looking.
Love it.
I love it. It looks amazing. I'm really excited about it. And with how it was twirling. Wait, are you ready for this? I didn't realize I could do this until just now.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know you could do that either. You want to do that one more time?
Yeah, you weren't ready for that one.
No, I was ready, but I want to see it again. Okay.
I wasn't ready for that. Now, there are a couple of things in this more final version that are kind of new to the design. Oh, wow. First of which is the sleeves, which originally were gonna be made out of a plain black organza. But after Stephanie went home with our starry fabric and kind of hung out with it for a second, she suggested that we instead do the sleeve in our fabric, just unlined. I think it was a great decision to do the sleeves in the same fabric as the dress.
Agreed.
Because then you can see them all on my arm. We also slightly changed the opacity of the bodice to feature our stars more prominently, which actually nicely matches the sheerness of the first dress as well.
And what's really pretty too is the back.
Oh, look at this little cluster over here. You got a Milky Way right there, Saf.
Besides those changes, I was also quite pleased with the added volume in the shoulder area. Look at the poof. Also,
we went full poof. Yeah.
As well as the snugness on my behind.
There is a little bit of a booty moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, I panned right to your butt.
Fast pan?
Yeah, fast pan.
Crash zoom?
Crash zoom to your booty.
But it wasn't so snug that we couldn't still boogie a little. The thing is that it's like really light and comfortable, so I can totally see myself dancing around in this, which was
the goal.
Definitely the goal.
Let's get your butts a-rolling, right?
It's called the buns a-rolling, but it's okay.
Butts a-rolling sounds better.
All of the details aside though, I think this dress was, without question, just 100% the right dress.
I feel like this is so you and, you know, and basically we nailed it, you think?
And I think we were all really happy with it.
Completely. It's an extension of the main gown and I just think it's stunning.
Yeah, me too. Love it.
Now, as you guys could probably tell over the course of this video, this dressmaking process took quite a while, and frankly, between this dress and our first dress, we've been working with Stephanie and Christy and all of their partners basically all year. It's been such a great experience to get to know them and work with them, and I'm so grateful that they were willing to let me be so involved in the design process, from the initial sketches to the dungeons of rag finders.
You guys are full Gollum right now. You're literally finding the ring of power in the darkness.
I'm super excited for both of the dresses that we've made together, and I can't wait to show them to you guys in the next episode. So let's get our butts a-rollin' and get married. Thank you guys so much for watching, and once again, a huge thank you to Stephanie for making this beautiful dress. I am so excited to see how it performs with me while we perform the first dance. If you liked that video, make sure to shamash that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to shamash that subscribe button. A big shout out to Sun the Alpaca Man. Thanks for watching, Sun the Alpaca Man, and I will see you guys next time.